video on the scales for PMHNP's certification exam. You have these really important, very important, I should say, scales that you need to know for the exam, for the certification, for board certification. And the way that I have it laid out on this sheet is basically in 4 categories. The first category is mental status. The second category is depression. The third category is anxiety, and the fourth category is substance. Okay, so in the first category, there is 2 scales that you can use. You can use the SLUM, or you could use the Mmsc scale. Now, for SLUM, it can go from 0 to 30. This part, you don't really need to know, but it's good to kind of have it, I guess, in the back of your head. So SLUM is from 0 to 30, and SLUM from 0 to 20 on the SLUM scale is considered having dementia. 21 to 26 is considered mild dementia, or having mild impairment in your mental status, and 27 to 30 is normal. Okay. Then you have the other scale, the second scale under mental status exam, mental status assessment scale is the MMSE, which is also ranges from 0 to 30, you know, 30 being the highest score for it, and 0 being the least. So on this, 0 to 9 is considered severe, 10 to 20 is considered moderate, 21 to 24 is mild, and 25 to 30 is considered normal. So I want you to remember, and this is the only category for mental status exam that 0 to 20 or 0 to 9, or the lower the score, the more severe it is. The lower the score, the more severe it is, and the higher the score, it's pretty normal. Okay, so think about giving an assessment or questionnaire to a mentally impaired person, or for somebody who you're trying to do an assessment for, like Alzheimer's. When you do the questionnaire for these people, patients or clients, do they answer all the questions correctly? Are they scoring high? When they score high and get all the answers to those questions correct, that is normal, okay? But if they don't answer questions correctly and are getting a lower score on the scale, that means they have some sort of impairment or some dementia, okay? Depending on the scale that you're using, that would give you a better idea of it, okay? So 0 to 20 on SLUM is considered having dementia. On MMSE, 10 to 20 is considered moderate, and 0 to 9 is considered severe. So 0 to 9 severe, 10 to 20 is considered moderate on MMSE. And anytime, remember, the higher the score, closer to the highest number, which is from 30, you're going to have a normal. Anything in between is considered moderate, and then lower the score is considered having severe impairment, okay? And this is the only 2 scales that kind of works the opposite. What I mean by opposite is the lower the score, it's severe compared to the other scales, like in depression or anxiety or substance abuse. The higher the score, like 20 to 27, or 29 and up, or 20 and up, the higher the number, it is more severe. So it's just kind of like flipped backwards, right? It's so this is the only one that I want you to remember. The lower the score, the more severe it is. The higher the score, it is pretty normal. Okay, so the second category that I want to talk about is depression. And in depression, you can have 3 scales, 3 different types of scales. The first one I'm going to go over is HAM-D. HAM-D, there's 2 HAMs. There's HAM for anxiety and HAM for depression. But this category, obviously, the second one that I'm talking about right now, is HAM-D for depression, because we're doing the category depression. First category, mental status. Second category, category is depression. And in depression, there's 3 types of assessment, and the 3 assessments are HAM-D, PHQ-9, and Beck, okay? HAM-D, PHQ-9, and Beck. Those are 3 different scales that you would use for depression. So the first depression scale is HAM-D, which can range from 0 to 76, that's being the highest score that you would get for the HAM-D assessment. 0 to 7 is considered normal, 8 to 13 is mild, and 14 to 18 is moderate. 19 and anything greater than that is considered severe depression. And then you have the second scale for depression, which is PHQ-9. This ranges from 0 to 27, and in this you have 0 to 4 is considered normal, 5 to 9 is considered mild, 10 to 14 is moderate, 15 to 19 is moderately severe, and 20 to 27 is considered severe. The third category for depression assessment, third assessment scale for depression is a Beck, which ranges from 0 to 63, 63 being the highest score and 0 being the least, right? So 0 to 13 is minimal, 14 to 19 is mild, 20 to 28 is moderate, and 29 to 63 is considered severe. So as you can see, just in depression scales alone, when you get a number higher than, as you're achieving the higher scores on each of these or each one, whichever you're testing for the patients, the higher the number, the more severe it is, right? And the lower the number, the more normal it is, or it's minimal. The third category that I want to talk about is anxiety. Anxiety has 2 scales, and that is HAM-A for anxiety and GAD. So 2 scales are HAM-A for anxiety and GAD. These are the 2 scales that is used for anxiety that you should know for the PMHNP exam, certification exam. So 0 to 56, 56 is the highest score that you can get for the anxiety scale, and 0 to 13 is considered normal. 0 to 13 is normal, 14 to 17 is mild, 18 to 24 is moderate, anything greater than 25 is severe, okay? And the second scale that we have for anxiety is GAD. That ranges from 0 to 21, 21 being the highest score that you would get. 0 to 4 is normal, 5 to 9 is mild, 10 to 14 is moderate, 15 to 21 is considered severe. Excuse me. The fourth category that I have is substance. So substance, you have, sorry, excuse me, 2 scales. You can use COWS, which is used for opioid withdrawal, and alcohol, you would use CEWA. So COWS is opioid, or opioid is COWS assessment, and alcohol is CEWA, or CEWA is alcohol. So in this category, COWS, let's do COWS. COWS is used for opioid. Anything greater than 7, you want to start treatment. Okay, remember that. Anything greater than 7, you want to start treatment. So let's go over the scale category, the scale ranges. It's 0 to 4 is none. Okay, so that means you're not having any symptoms. 5 to 12 is considered mild. At this point, you can give them a PRN. Why? Because remember I said anything greater than 7, you want to give them some sort of a treatment, okay? 13 to 24 is considered moderate. 13 to 24 is moderate, and anything 13 and greater, you can give them standing medication. So at this point, you would be giving them something like Suboxone or buprenorphine, or even place them on methadone. But placing them on a methadone is only under clinical supervision. So a lot of these patients that get prescribed methadone is given methadone at a clinic rather than saying, okay, you're going to take this at home. You're not going to do that. The only two medications that you can do that possibly is Suboxone and buprenorphine, okay? So back to the category, the ranges. 13 to 24 is considered moderate, and anything greater than 13, you're going to give them a standing medication. 25 to 35 is considered moderately severe, and anything greater than 36 is considered severe, okay? That's for cows, which is used for opioid withdrawal. CEWA is used for alcohol withdrawal, and remember, anything greater than 8, you want to start a treatment. Anything greater than 8, you want to start a treatment. So 0 to 9 is considered normal, but even though 0 to 9 is normal, 8, remember I said 8 and greater is you want to start the treatment on these people. 10 to 15 is mild, 16 to 20 is moderate, and anything greater than 21 is considered severe. So if you look at this scale all together and you view this, the numbers, I highlighted on this video everything that you need to know. And what you need to know is, what you need to really focus on is what will help you to focus and to help you for the exam is focusing on what is moderate, considered moderate. So the scales for depression, the scales for anxiety, the scales for a substance, try to remember the moderate numbers, and that's the tip that I will be sharing with you that helped me. That's not the tip. That is the numbers that you want to try to remember, and I'll try to help you with what helped me remember those numbers. And remember, with anything, the category with depression, anxiety, and substance, all those 3 categories, remember, you're going to have the lower number is going to be considered normal, right? So anything on the low end side, 0 and something, maybe 4, 5, or 7 is considered normal, compared to a higher number. As you go up on the scale, it's going to be more severe. So it's normal, mild, moderate, and then severe for all those categories: depression, anxiety, and substance use scales. All of them range from normal, mild, moderate to severe, right? Also, what I want you to remember is SLUM and MMSE, those scales are opposite, right? Opposite because they go from lowest number, which is having dementia or having severe impairment, to higher scores, which is basically normal when you're giving them a test, right? So the 4 categories I have is mental status, the first one. Second one is depression. Third one is anxiety. And the fourth one is substance use. And like I mentioned before, all the scores that's listed next to it for each of the scales, 0 to 30 or 0 to 76, 0 to 27 for PHQ-9, those are just an range just to give you an idea. But do you have to memorize that? Not really. I don't really think it's that important, but it's good to have an idea of it, right? Because if you know that, I guess it will help you to know, normal, and kind of give you what's the highest score that you would get on each of the scales. Also, I want you to know and keep in back of your mind is, except for slums, all have normal to severe categories, right? So you have MMSE that has normal. Actually, slum has normal too. Take it back. So anyway, try to look through this and kind of get an idea of, what I think what helped me was to know that there is different categories. The 4 categories, knowing, the assessments that fall under each category, and then I went from there to the scale that I will be sharing. So I know from here you have 9 scales, right? So I just reviewed 9 scales, which is SLUM, MMSE, HAM-D, PHQ-9, Beck, Ham-A, GAD, COWS, and CIWA. Those are the 9 scales. So I begin the scale with numbering. I make 4 boxes, and I start to list my numbers 1 to 9. I list it in the first column. I number it saying 1 to 9, going down. The second thing I try to remember is, okay, in the first category that I mentioned was about mental status, right? So in the mental status, there was the slums exam, the slums scale and the MMSE, right? So you got SLU, P, GAT. Okay, that's what I try to remember. I try to say SLU, P, GAT. SLU, P, GAT. SLU, P, GAT. If you do it a couple of times, honestly, it gets catchy. SLU, P, GAT. SLU, P, GAT. Slum for slum. Slum for mental status. MMSE. That's the only skill that starts with MMSE is for mental status. PHQ-9. Okay, that is for depression. GAD. GAD. Once you know GAD, or GAD, if you want to say, you can figure out the first 4 scales. The second one, now we go in and say slum, and then you say to yourself, okay, there is other categories, and the depression scale is HAM-D. HAM-D, and HAM-A. Okay, so HAM-D is for depression, and HAM-A is for anxiety. HAM-A is for anxiety, and HAM-D is for depression. Those are the 2 scales. Now, so number 7 and 8, you want to say, slum, MMSE, PHQ-9, GAD. Now you say, okay, PHQ-9, GAD, I'm missing one more for the depression scale, which is HAM-D. HAM-D is for depression. Now, when you think of HAM-D for depression, you want to say, hey, there's another HAM, HAM-A. So, number 6 is HAM-A. HAM-D, HAM-A, HAM-D, HAM-A. Okay, so you say, well, now that we got to HAM-A, my third category is anxiety, and anxiety is complete. HAM-A. The fourth category that you have is for substance. That I have is for substance, and substance is, what do we say, cows, and CIWA. So cows and CIWA. And last but not least, I am missing one scale, and what that scale would be is Beck. Sl, G. And then you say, wait, this category has one more missing, which is HAM-D. HAM-A is also in there. And now that HAM-A is in there, you want to say, hey, I got to get to my next category. Next category is substance, and substance is cows and CIWA. You got cows and CIWA, and then last but not least, you say to yourself, something is wrong with this picture, and I'm missing Beck. Cute little Becky, Beck. Slum, ham, cows, CIWA, Beck. Okay, so you got 1 to 9. If you can remember slum, HAM-D, HAM-A, cows, CIWA, and Beck. The next thing I want you to try to remember is 0, 0, 0, 0. So there's 4 zeros. 4 zeros, I'm going to write the number 4. 4 times 2 is 8. And then I'm going to go back to 3, 6. And that's the only 2 numbers I'm really going to remember. 3 and 6. Okay, because I know this would come because I started with 4 zeros. 4 zeros, 4, double that is 8. So the only 2 numbers that I really need to remember is 3 and 6. Come back, 0. Okay. Now the next step I would say is to write down all 1 from second number 2 MMSE to 8 number 8 is all 1. Just write down 1 all straight down together. 1. And the last but not least, you're going to put a 2 next to that last 0 to make it 20. Becky is 20 years old. So now that you got 20 here, you're going to say, hey, I need to fill the next row. 20, 20, 20. I'm going to give this one 20, this one 20. Okay, great. 20. So now kind of like as I tried to kind of color coordinate it so you can kind of remember there's 3 10s, 2 20s here, 1 14, 1 18, 13, 16, and 20. I color coordinated so this way you can kind of remember it and kind of get a picture of it. And this will help you. So 20 we got, 20. Next thing you know is the number. You say, I need to fill all of these. And you know what? Gladly so, we will try to fill it out. And so let's say 20, 20, look at that. 14 is up. 14, this number, 14 is important because we're going to put it in here. 14, 14. Then you say, what's going to go next? Guess what? It's going to be the number 18. 18 goes in. 18, 18, 18, 18. And you say, what's going to be next? 24. That's the number that you would want to remember. 24. It's kind of a weird number. Where did 24 come from? I don't know. Maybe you can say 18 to 24. Remember that number. But just know 24. 24. 24. 24. Guess what? You say there's 2 more missing. 2, 20, 20. Okay? Last but not least, guess what? This is going to be great. 28. Okay. So if you can remember, this is actually the final scale. And these ranges are the moderate ranges for all the 9 scale. If you start, I know it kind of seems tricky and kind of confusing, but if you say, okay, you know what? I need to remember the moderate, and I need to remember the scales, and I need to know what is the trick behind it. So you're going to start off by writing 1 to 9. Then you're going to say sl-m-p-ga, sl-m-p-ga, write it down. What are those, the first category that we talked about? I talked about mental status, which is slum, and MMSE. Great. Then the second category that I talked about was depression. What is the assessment for that? The scales used for that is PHQ-9, P for PHQ-9, and you say GAD, PHQ-9, GAD, HAM-D. HAM-D is for depression. So now that you got HAM-D, you say, hey, let me put in HAM-A as well because HAM-D goes along with HAM-A. And now that HAM-A is in, your fourth category is substance, fourth category substance, and you have CALS for opioid withdrawal and SIBA for alcohol withdrawal. So those are your 2 other categories. And once you have that down, then you say, hey, I'm just missing 1. What is that 1? What is that lucky scale? You say Beck, 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 because that was the only scale that was used for, if you guessed it right, what do we use Beck for? Beck is used for depression. So Beck is used for depression. You have PHQ-9, GAD, HAM-D, and Beck. Okay? So if you look at it, this is kind of an interesting way. So HAM-D and HAM-A are the same category. HAM-HAM you put in as 5 and 6. Or you can put CALS, which is a substance, the same category. Substance is CALS and SIBA under the same category. You can see the 20 matching, the 20 over here, the 20 over here, the 10 over here, the 14 here, the 18 here, so, and the 24 as well. You know, if you tried filling it out yourself with a pen and pencil or in a paper and did it, writing it and try to say, okay, you know what, this number, try to go over it a couple of times before you say this doesn't work, this scale doesn't work for you. Try to write it and see if it works. And if it works, great, like and subscribe to the video and to the channel so this way I can know you want me to make more videos and to learn. and memorize these skills. So knowing that, I am going to try it out myself. I am going to have a scale here. I wrote it down here. So I'm gonna go over it with you guys again as I'm typing it freehanded now, right? With my text on the screen. Number 1, I said sl. Sl is slum. Sorry. Sl, sounds Mmsc. Sl, PHQ9. Sl, g, which is gad. Sl, gad. And I am going to say gad. PHQ. PHQ is for my second category, which is depression. Depression, I have HAM-D. HAM-D. And I have HAM-A for anxiety. So then I say what goes in 7 and 8. My fourth category that I mentioned is substance. Substance is cows and SIWA scale. Last but not least, the only one that I'm missing is Beck. Pretty cute little Beck. Okay, so here I go with the first slum. What I remember from this rule is from my third box, I'm going to write down 0 because you know what? There was 4 zeros. 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0. Okay, 4 zeros. Then I wanted to remember that there is 4 zeros. I'm going to put the number 4 here because there's 4 zeros. 4 times 2 is 8. 8, and then I remember the number 3 because I have 3 different numbers here. 3, and then I want to remember 6. 3 times 2 is 6, and I'm back at 0. Okay, so now let's say you can't remember. You know, the only number that had 2 was the Beck, and everything else was basically 1. From 2 to 8 is 1, except for slum. Everybody gets a 1, except for slum. Everybody gets 1, except for slum. Okay, there we go. So here we have already what is the beginning number of the moderate numbers for all the scales. Okay, so then you say, hey, how do we fill this one out? So remember, the last number is 20, and I'm going to say 20. And guess what? I'm going to say 20 again because, remember, if you remember that highlighted screen that I had initially, there was 2 20s here. Then you say, hey, I don't know what number goes here. And then I say, hey, 14. 14 goes there, and again I'm going to give it another 14, and then I say, hey, this is color coordinated to 18 for 18. Then I say the only number that I really needed to remember was 24. I'm going to say 24. And let's say you don't remember this number, and you say, hey, what was that next number? Guess what? It's this number, 20. So you put in 20. And the last but not least, it's Beck. She's 20, but she's going to be aging to 28. And she may live till 28. 20 to 28 is really the only number that you would kind of need to remember. I guess 13, 16, and 28. But all the other numbers is kind of fill in the blank. So let's go back to the scales and look at all that moderate number. Okay, moderate number, and here I am going to share the screen. The cheat sheet, that cheat scale, basically all the moderates that I just kind of showed you the trick to learning. You have slum, which is 0 to 20 right here, which is 0 to 20. It's for dementia, right? Because the lower the number, the more severe it is for slum, for mental status. That's the same thing with MMSC. The MMSC is 10 to 20, and the lower the number is severe. 0 to 9 is severe. So remember, I had mentioned all of these are going to be, except for slum, it's going to be dementia, but all the other numbers, it's going to be moderate. So all of these categories right here, from 2 to 9, all these numbers are moderate numbers except for slum. Slum says 0 to 20 is considered dementia, but 21 to 26 is considered mild, and 27 to 30 is considered normal. So slum is the only rare scale that you'll kind of have to hone in a different way or look at it from a different angle. But all the other ones, 10 to 20 for MMSE, 10 to 20 MMSE. You got the MMSE, that's the moderate. You have the PHQ-9, that is 10 to 14, PHQ-9, 10 to 14. Then the next one we have is GAD. GAD is 10 to 14 as well. 10 to 14 is here as well, which is moderate. Then the next one that you have is HAM-D. HAM-D is 14 to 18. 14 to 18, HAM-D, 14 to 18, which is moderate. The next one that I have is HAM-A, 18 to 24, HAM-A, 18 to 24, okay? The next one that I have for number 7 is 13 to 24 for cows. 13 to 24 for cows is moderate. SIWA is 16 to 20. SIWA 16 to 20 is moderate. Last but not least, we have Beck. Beck is 20 to 28. 20 to 28 is Beck. So I hope this little scale kind of helped you to know what the moderate is. So this way you can kind of know which direction, which direction, you should go, and which direction is headed to normal and which direction is headed to severe. So any scale under depression, which is HAM, HAM-D, PHQ-9, Beck, anything lower number is normal, anything higher number is severe. So when you have these number ranges for moderate, top of the moderate is going to be mild because it's a lower number. Lower than 14 is mild, and greater than 18 or say 19 is considered severe. So that's just on him. So anything over moderate is going to be starting with normal. You're starting with normal. So normal, mild, moderate, and severe, right? That's the flow that you want to remember. There's normal, mild, moderate, and then severe. So here I helped you to remember only just the moderate because all the scales that is under depression, anxiety, and substance, all these scales, they begin with normal being the lowest number, and then to the higher number as it goes, it's going to be severe. So I know I only really focused on the moderate in this video because I feel like once you know what the moderate is, you kind of can get an idea, if you go over what the moderate is, it's going to fall under either mild or normal. And anything over moderate is going to be, severe. So this is just this video is only really to help you mainly focus on and to learn what the moderate levels are for each of these scales. And as you look at each scale, try to see, okay, what is maybe the number ranges between them, and kind of see, okay, is there a difference of 4 points? Is there a difference of 10 points? Is there a difference? And if you can kind of figure that out for each scale, that would also be helpful if that's a 5-point difference between each range. I didn't really go over that in the video, but I know it would be helpful. You can do that and come up with your own techniques and ideas. I encourage you to let me know if there is something that I can use. I haven't really thought about it that far, but I'm pretty good once I know my moderates. I'm pretty good at figuring out the mild and the severe. But if there is something that you would think is better option in learning and helpful for other people, please comment below. Let me know what was helpful for you and that I can possibly share for other people. I hope this was helpful video for you guys. Comment below, share it with people who might be, who it might benefit. Okay? Thank you. Good luck with the exam and learning other scales. Bye-bye now.